So welcome to Fixation Part 2. We got up to Section 17 in the affidavit of Detective Senior Constable Matthew Reason last time. This is in the State of New South Wales versus Kiskonen preliminary 2021 NSWSC 915 Supreme Court document linked below the video. Hearing date 21st July 2021, date of orders and decision date 27 July 2021. Jurisdiction common law before Justice Julia Lonigan. Decision amended, summons dismissed, plaintiff to pay the defendant's costs. So I'm going to keep going from where we got to. And for some reason or other, we go from paragraph 17 in Reason's affidavit to paragraph 23. So 18 to 22 were not included for some reason. 23. I continue to monitor the social media activity of Mr. Kiskonen, Mr. Spires and the UKOA community as part of my monitoring and investigation activities for the Fixated Persons Investigation Unit. Over a period of months, I observed increased activity and rhetoric indicating that Mr. Kiskonen and Mr. Spires were beginning to formalise the UKOA community and were increasingly advising their members that they were above the law. As detailed above, Mr. Kiskonen posted a number of videos specifically referring to the police. From May to July 2020, I was aware that Detective Senior Constable Gatwood was receiving emails from Mr. Kiskonen. These emails caused both Detective Senior Constable James Gatwood and I to form the opinion that Mr. Kiskonen was becoming increasingly radical, and he was becoming increasingly passionate about his beliefs, strident in his opinions, and increasingly focused on his supposed immunity from the law and on the eventual execution of traitors, and was attempting to recruit Detective Senior Constable Gatwood into UKOA. Paragraph 24. I also became aware of plans to hold a UKOA Australia Day ceremony on 31st July 2020. Mr. Kiskonen's YouTube videos indicated that Mr. Kiskonen was working at an increasingly frantic pace to get preparations in place for this event. He referred to not having had enough sleep on a number of occasions and spoke a number of times about how busy he was. I'm aware that he was writing speeches, having brochures printed, ordering flags, designing ceremonies, and liaising with individuals in a number of other states. His level of activity at this time was noticeably higher. Paragraph 25. On 23rd July 2020, Detective Senior Constable James Gatwood showed me an email response that he intended to send to Mr. Kiskonen, in which he responded to Mr. Kiskonen's request to explain why he did not believe the UKOA doctrine. I agreed with Detective Senior Constable Gatwood that it was important to attempt to resolve this issue in Mr. Kiskonen's mind, to prevent him from believing he had support for his ideas within New South Wales Police. So we've got here thought crime. Again, no specific threat has been detailed, but a wish from the Fixated Persons Unit, particularly Detective Senior Constable Reason, that it was important to resolve this issue in Mr. Kiskonen's mind. Yes, so not so free to believe. Paragraph 26. On 27 July 2020, as I foresaw the potential for violent confrontation, I advised other relevant law enforcement agencies of the plans by UKOA to attend major war memorials in Australian capitals and conduct various ceremonies, remove any national flags there, and raise their own red ensign in its place. So I covered this in Fixation Part 1 when we looked at the flyer, and we know from history that this didn't occur. There's no evidence of any plans for this to take place, the removing of the national flag and raising the red ensign. I don't know where this has come from, or whether Detective Senior Constable Reason is just inventing this, whether it's a comment that somebody made on a video or on Facebook. But it didn't happen. There's no evidence that it happened. If there was evidence, then it would surely have been included in the plaintiff's evidence in this case. So it's just an allegation, speculation. Anyway, this didn't stop. Didn't stop Detective Senior Constable Reason from taking drastic action. Paragraph 27. Also on 27 July, Mr. Kiskonen posted a video on YouTube entitled "Notice to Police," in which he appeared to make a threat towards Detective Gatwood and to police generally. At this time, I began preparations to arrest Mr. Kiskonen and took over the role of officer in charge from Detective Gatwood. So this is the end of or temporarily the end of the affidavit of Matthew Reason. So at this point in time, Reason made preparations to arrest Mr. Kiskonen and took over the role of officer in charge from Detective Gatwood. He doesn't explain why he took over, and we've got no real justification for planning to arrest Juha Kiskonen. So now we're back to Justice Julia Lonergan's words in item 20. These activities led to the arrest of the defendant at his home on the 30th of July. So this is only 3 days after the video Kiskonen published Notice to Police, and preparations for his arrest were made. Sorry, back to 20. These activities led to the arrest of the defendant at his home on 30 July 2020. He was charged with 2 counts of use carriage service to menace, harass, and or offend, and with firearm offences related to a gel blaster pistol found at his home. According to DSC Reason's affidavit, the defendant's take on his own activities was that his videos were not threatening, but, quote, telling the truth about what would happen, end quote. 22. DSC Reason noted that the, quote, Australia Day ceremony, end quote, discussed in the defendant's post did go ahead on 31st July 2020, with UKOA members attending war memorials in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Cairns, Mackay, Launceston, Geelong and Canberra. DSC Reason said that the ceremonies in Sydney, Melbourne and Perth all exceeded 20 attendees, and attendees were arrested or moved on in Melbourne and Sydney. Arrested or moved on? Or did they just move on after they were done with their peaceful ceremony. So yeah, this fixation that led to an interpretation by DSC Reason that Mr. Kiskonen was becoming increasingly frantic, and that there was an increased likelihood of him of a violent confrontation. And yet the ceremony went ahead, despite his arrest, went ahead in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Cairns, Mackay, Launceston, Geelong and Canberra. And to my understanding, it went ahead in many other smaller towns as well. And what do we have from all of that? Do we have violence anywhere? Do we have flags taken down anywhere? No. We have Melbourne and Sydney where attendees were arrested or moved on. To my knowledge, there weren't any arrests. But yeah, continuing, item 23. There is other evidence relied upon by the plaintiff in the form of YouTube and Facebook material posted by the defendant and the comments posted by others in response. So back to the affidavit of DSC Reason. Investigation of Mr. Kiskonen's social media accounts and Exhibit AC-1 or I. Paragraph 25. On 16 June 2021, I began my investigation into social media accounts believed to be operated by Mr. Kiskonen. I wonder, I think this must be a typo or a mistake made in the affidavit, because we're in 2021 now, but all of this happened in 2020. Anyway, I began my investigation into social media accounts believed to be operated by Mr. Kiskonen. My duties during the investigation process is to conduct a review and capture of social media handles / profiles utilized by Mr. Kiskonen. On 23rd June 2021, 25th June 2021, and 30 June 2021, I navigated to and reviewed various Facebook and YouTube accounts as part of my investigation into Mr. Kiskonen. Of the accounts I reviewed, I downloaded 2 Facebook accounts in portable document format, PDF, in addition to various videos from YouTube in MP4 form, so that they could be accessed offline. It's a shocking waste of time. So I downloaded 2 Facebook accounts in PDF format. I didn't know you could do that. I don't know why you would do that. You don't have internet down at the Fixated Persons Unit? You can't be online? Anyway, paragraph 26 in Reason's affidavit. In order to capture the Facebook profiles, I utilized a tool called the snipping tool to screenshot the window and the print to PDF function to directly save a copy of the page / contents. A program called Snagit was utilized to record the YouTube videos. Staggering. Item 20, paragraph 27. Exhibited to me at the time of making this affidavit and marked Exhibit AC-I or 1 is a USB drive containing the PDF files of the social media content and YouTube videos I downloaded. Okay, so clearly DSC Reason is a tech wizard. Now we go into 3 or 4 pages of Facebook accounts and comments. So this is paragraph 28. It just keeps going with videos and comments that people posted that's interpreted. I won't read it all. It's a waste of time. Steve did this in Follow the Rabbit, and it's tedious. So the links below, you can go through it if you want, but it's basically just a whole list of videos, comments, blah blah blah, from Facebook and YouTube accounts. So now, where we get to the actual charges, this is fascinating. Back to item 24 in the document, and these are the words of Justice Julia Lonergan. It is against this background that the materials, the subject of the charges, was published and sent by the defendant to DSC Gatwood on 25th of May 2020 and 27 July 2020. The key points of this correspondence are relevantly summarized in the police facts. Sorry, misclick. Offence 1. Use carriage service to menace, harass, offend. On the 25th of May, the accused uploaded a video onto YouTube and shared it to the, quote, remaining loyal to the Kingdom of Australia, end quote, Facebook group. The video showed the accused providing commentary about spies, in all caps for some reason, being the new King of Australia, and that they will now be, quote, challenging this government big time. We're going to put them in their place, end quote. He goes on to say that all the police officers and army personnel, should be personnel, will be held accountable, and if they do not make an oath to the, quote, Kingdom of Australia, there will be consequences for your treason. The accused stated that those who do not swear an allegiance will be hung and their, quote, neck snapped, end quote. The accused stated his followers were required to advise him of their oath to King Stephen, and that from today on, quote, things are changing, end quote. This video can be seen to have been filmed in an area of the garage at the accused's home at redacted Gregory Hills. So this is an offence. Use carriage service to menace, harass, offend. That Mr. Kiskonen, the defendant, stated in a video that he made that they'll be challenging this government big time. We're going to put them in their place. Well, how is there a threat there? And if they do not make an oath to the Kingdom of Australia, there'll be consequences for your treason. The accused stated that those who do not swear allegiance will be hung and their necks snapped. Things are changing. So the accused stated that those who do not swear an allegiance will be hung and their necks snapped. So I'm guessing that this is the pointy end of what was perceived as a threat. But it all comes down to how this statement was made. If you're stating what you think will happen through the due process of law, once again, laws that have been on the table for more than 110 years, Hague Conventions, is it a threat, or is it stating what you think will happen via lawful means? So offence 2 of use, carriage, service to menace, harass, offend. On the 27th of July 2020, the accused posted a video of himself to his YouTube page. The video was a 20-minute recording titled, quote, "Notice to Police," end quote. During the video, the accused stated that he had a document that put the police on notice. He began to talk about police and stated, quote, "The one that surprised me the most was the Fixated Persons Unit. A detective there named James. G'day, James, how you going? I know you watch. Very surprised at your response, James. Although I realise why you made that response. I mean, you like your job. But is your job worth your life, mate? That's the thing. Not saying I'm going to do anything about it. But you read all of the material. I was only looking out for you. But obviously your job is more important than your country. So I guess that puts you into a special kind of category. It starts with T. I'm sure you know what that word is. The accused continued to talk about police, and if they go against the Kingdom of Australia, that they will be hanged. The accused did this by making a hanging motion. The accused has subsequently indicated during his SIC interview that T stands for treason. This video is identifiable as having been filmed in the accused's garage at redacted Gregory Hills. In the video, the accused later referred to Gatwood and police stating, quote, "You need to realise that when you know you're committing treason and you continue to commit treason," the accused made another hanging motion, "it does lead to that," end quote. The accused referred to the king taking power stating, quote, "Do you think you're going to be able to stay here and avoid a hanging?" End quote. The accused continued to threaten that police will be hanged. He talked about hanging certain police, stating, quote, "Fuck yeah, we should. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'll get a bit of pleasure out of it," end quote. The accused stated that the only way anyone will avoid hanging would be by changing their allegiance. So once again, we have this question of what is a threat and what is a prediction or an opinion. And even stating that he will enjoy it, he'll get pleasure out of it, is not a threat, in my opinion. Though being very, very confronting, no doubt, to hear these words directed at you, still does not a threat make. Now, item 25, the firearm offences are described in the police facts as follows. Offence 3, possess unregistered firearm, prohibited pistol. Offence 4, not keep firearm safely. So during the search of the premises, police located a, quote, gel blaster, end quote, pistol on a shelf in the garage. This shelf is close to the area in which the accused films his videos. The pistol, SIC, resembles a conventional semi-automatic pistol and fires small plastic projectiles. I'm interjecting for a moment. I don't believe that they do fire plastic projectiles. My understanding is that they fire a gel. It's like a paintball gun. It's called a gun. It does fire something. But yes, as I mentioned previously, these weren't illegal in any other state other than New South Wales. Anyway, it is automatic firing and it is classed as a firearm, prohibited pistol, at law. The firearm is not registered and was not secured in an approved safe. The accused is not currently licensed to own a firearm. The accused participated in an electronically recorded interview wherein he made admissions to operating the quote John K. and quote YouTube account, creating and posting the videos referred to above. He also admitted to sending the emails to Detective Gatwood referred to above. The accused made admissions to owning the pistol and stated that he had purchased it from a friend some time ago. The accused continued to assert that the laws of both the Commonwealth of Australia and the state of New South Wales do not apply to him. So it'd be fascinating to know how many people in New South Wales own or owned gel blasters, and that this supposed firearm was not used to commit any crime. And offence 4 was not to keep it in a safe. But in any other state of Australia, you could have had one and didn't have to keep it in a safe. So it's a real technicality. 2 of the 4 charges that only came up after the search of Mr. Kiskonen's property. So item 26 in his ERISP on 30 July 2020, a transcript of which was tendered. A long, largely incomprehensible, rambling series of answers were provided to questioning police. The defendant denied that he was inciting people to violence, stating, quote, "I'm telling people not to cower in a corner at the sight of the police, to stand up to the police, but at the same time, do not raise a hand against the police. Don't be belligerent," end quote. Item 27. He was also asked whether he believed police should be hanged, to which he replied, quote, "No," end quote. He was asked questions about the role of the military tribunal he is referred to. Question 217. So this is after 216 questions. I was just going to ask, what would happen to one of your members if they acted outside the military tribunal, if they went ahead and hung the police? Answer. Oh, they wouldn't be one of our group, that's for sure. Question 218. But is there some sort of repercussion? Answer. Yeah, they would face a military tribunal themselves and probably lose their head. Question 219. Through you guys? Answer. No, through you guys. Detective Senior Constable reason. Question 220. A military tribunal? Answer. We're not here to fight with you. We're not here to argue with you, but you people have to understand that we're standing in our lawful capacity, and you people as a foreign military have to respect that. You have to respect that, otherwise it's a war crime. This is what I'm trying to get through to you people, is that you have to respect the law, international law. I'm standing within my international law, and I'm adhering to the laws that I'm obligated to adhere to, and so should you. If you cross that line, you should be punished. If I cross that line, I should be punished. If people want to take the law into their own hands, they should be punished. I'm not here to I've never once told anybody to rise up against the police violently. I've had interactions with the police at the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne, at Mawson Park. I mean, I'm sure you have access to that video footage. You'll see that I was completely peaceful. I was non-belligerent. I didn't argue with them. I just told them how it was. And when I laid out, say for instance, the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949, Chapter 5, Article 93, which states that you, the foreign military, have to allow us, the peaceful civilians, every latitude to attend the military, to attend a religious service of our faith. The people of Melbourne and the people in Campbelltown adhered to that, and they left us alone. Item 29. This ERISP should be read against the background of the defendant's articulated position in an email dated 7 May 2020 sent to DSC Gatwood that was not the subject of a charge, which included these propositions. Quote, "Hi James, you will find attached several papers you should take the time to read. They lay out a number of things of importance pertaining to the military occupation of our Kingdom of Australia and a foreign crown pretending to be our proper crown, which you serve. These papers are unrebuttably accurate, and you should take the time to read them. Feel free to try to rebut them. A retired magistrate has even read the two, titled Realm and agreed they are indeed correct. Now I know you've been watching the videos I've posted, and for our conversation today I see you are at least checking that I know what I am talking about, and I appreciate it. Thanks, good to know you're paying attention. When you do read through the Australian Treaty Series, in particular Hague 4, Customs of War on Land, you will see this is the primary document that allows for our military occupation, and Australia Day actually represents the day that treaty came into effect, being our official military occupation. Article 1. The contracting powers shall issue instructions to their armed land forces, which shall be in conformity with the regulations respecting the laws and customs of war on land, annexed to the present convention. This would include the Liber Code, as the regulations or field manual that you must follow as the occupying force, as a subsidiary of the United States technically, although now controlled by the United Nations, under the Crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, being the St. Edward's Crown. I also included a somewhat detailed paper I put together titled Timeline, which points out key historical events that led to where we are today. Have fun proving that wrong also." Quote. There is other correspondence in a similar vein later in May and in June 2020. Item 30. Senior counsel for the plaintiff, Mr. Emmett, placed emphasis on a particular recurrent gesture he says that the defendant made in some of his YouTube material. In a presentation on 27 July 2020, the defendant outlined certain activity that was to take place on 31st July 2020 and made reference to a document that, quote, has not been released yet, end quote, and then says this, quote, and as I said, it puts the police on notice. So whether they choose to take notice of it or not, it certainly puts them on notice, and if they choose to go against that, well, hey, it could end up, being a bit of this action for them. Makes gesture. Or, actually, I'll say it would more than likely end up being that sort of action for them. Because they're armed. They're a foreign military, and they're threatening the peaceful civilians. And we don't care. Well, not that we don't care, but fair enough. There's nothing that we can do for you citizens, but don't go messing with our people anymore. The people that are under this flag, So if you see this flag, Mr. Police Officer, I suggest you walk the other way, like you do with me most of the time." End quote. And later in the same presentation, quote, but you police officers that know that you're doing the wrong thing now and you continue to do it, well, I can understand the fact that you know that you need to honour your oath, but you can change that just by making another oath. Your oath back to God voids all other oaths. You're serving a foreign crown or foreign god against your own people. And, you have the power of changing this. And only you have the power of changing it because you're the ones that in control of your allegiance, where your allegiance lays. So, all you police officers that do watch, and I know some of you watch, you really need to make a decision as to where your loyalty lies. And you need to realize that when you know that you're committing treason and you continue to commit treason, makes gesture, it does lead to that, if not by military tribunal. Say if the military tribunal does nothing about it, when the king gets control of this country, the whole country again, and we get rid of the occupier, where are you going to be left? All you police officers out there, when the occupier leaves, are you going to leave with them to avoid hanging? Or you can think that you're going to be able to stay here and avoid hanging? End quote. So item 31. Mr. Emmett also drew attention to this part of a similar YouTube presentation in May 2020. Quote, "We're going to give everybody a choice to be loyal to your kingdom. Make your oaths back to the Kingdom of Australia, or there will be consequences for your treason. And the consequences will range from mild, being you're going to leave this country, you're going to leave it behind, and you're going to have no recourse to the very strong. And that is that some of you might find," makes gesture, a rope getting very tight around your neck and your feet dropping out from underneath you, and that rope going taut and snapping your neck. Now I know I say that very callously, but believe me, there are some of you that deserve it. And those of you that deserve it will be getting it. Some of you might only be spending your life in jail, like Ivan Milokovic, I think his name was, for war crimes. So things are changing, end quote. Item 32. I was informed by Mr. Emmett that I did not need to watch the YouTube videos, but the, quote, gesture, end quote, each time was a physical gesture consistent with hanging. Okay, so now we get into, in the document, we get into the mental health debacle that I already covered in a previous video. So I'll wrap this up for part 2, and we'll get into the media curial aspects, the outcome, where it actually stands at law, in part 3. But yes, just interesting to note that there's a threat here that's been perceived because of, we don't really know why exactly, but that it's confronting, I'm guessing it was confronting for Detective Senior Constable Reason, and that he jumped the gun, as Steve said, and just assumed that the law would be on his side. And then, this has just been sort of thrown together, it seems, and that, the defendant, Mr. Kiskonen, saying nasty things, therefore he must be a terrorist, despite the fact that the United Kingdom of Australia has not been labelled a terrorist organisation, and we will find in part 3 definitively it cannot be one at law. Thanks for your attention, and stay tuned for part 3.